connect. Ichan, maybe you can go next. So I can see the screen with my profile. And also I put the QR code so you can reach me on the LinkedIn or maybe also direct message to me to know what we do and also what our goal in this event. I also want to introduce our company, Equipa Agile Consultancy, was established in 2017 and helping business in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore in adopting agile way of working. In our mission to leverage greater impact and help business grow bigger and better, we also ready to help people and businesses with scaling up framework. So Iqbal can go next. Slide 6. Yeah, the next. Thank you.
Belum ya? Belum ke next ya?
Yes.
Sudah.
Go to the next one.
Sudah next ini?
Yes, go
Layarnya?
to the next slide.
Layarnya belum ke next ya? Aku akan reshare ya.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry guys for the hiccup. So yeah, basically this event is coming from scaling up in internationally proven framework that help over 70,000 companies worldwide to transfer industry dominating businesses. The American growth guru Frank Harnis developed the scaling up method and described this in his book Scaling Up. So the title of the book is How a Few Companies Make It and Why the Rest Don't. In this Scaling Up event series, we present scaling up professional coach with their insight and knowledge and experience to discuss about this framework. So today, our speaker, Manoj Shugani, will share his insight on the topic, Know Your A Players to Scale Up. So, hi Manoj, can you hear me? Are you ready?
Yes, I can. Maybe sorry, I was on like
everything
yes,
here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So please, Manoj, you can start the session on this. Thank you, Manoj.
Okay. All right. Thanks. So can I have the slide? I mean, like, can I take the screen?
Sure, Manoj.
Okay. Cool. Thanks. All right. So very good evening to you all. And I first want to thank you all for showing up at this time, making the time, I mean, to spend 90 minutes with me, to be listening to me. And thank you for that. I also want to thank the team at like Equipa, like Mavi, and like Hugo to make this happen. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction here. 1 minute. So basically today we're going to be looking at how do you scale up your business with your A players. We will be looking at two tools. One is the function accountability like chart and the talent assessment tool. And the result we want you to have is that you will have an objective way to recruit, develop, and retain your A players. So before I dive into this, I just wanted to check with you, maybe if we can actually share the link where they can download these two tools. And if anybody's having a problem in downloading the tools, let me know, please. Sorry, let me go back up.
Yeah. Okay, I will share to everyone. Wait a minute.
Okay. And I have another request. You know, we are doing this on Zoom, and thanks to COVID, a lot of stuff has moved on Zoom, which is good. I get to connect with you all, me being out here in Hong Kong. Some of you are in Singapore, some of you are in like Indonesia. I have a request. If you can come on the camera and we can see your faces, it will really help as it gives us more of a connect. So if you can switch on the camera, I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. All right. Okay. So let's dive into this. I would just like if some of you could just share, if you all would be open to actually sharing what got you excited or what got you interested in signing up for this. And we can take one or two shares as to what you're looking to get out of this workshop. Would anybody like to share? I know Fahmi's already gone once, so I can't ask him to go again, but if anybody else would like to share. Okay. All right. So I guess nobody wants to share, then I'm just going to take it as permission to go ahead, and that's fine. I'll just give you a brief introduction about myself. My name is Manoj Chugani. I'm a scaling up coach based in Hong Kong. I've been an entrepreneur since '94. I am married. I've got two kids. I've been married for over 20 years. And I've tried different programs. I mean, as a client, I was a client of Action Coach, then I was like an EMIT coach, then a Value Builder coach. And finally, I decided that scaling up is the program for me and the program I want to use to work with my clients. So just a little bit about scaling up before we dive into the rest of the session. So scaling up is a program. It's based on a book by Vern Harnish. He is the founder of Scaling Up, and he's also the co-founder of EO. And this program used to be taught at MIT. At that time, it was called the birthing of giants. So as maybe said before, the program has been tried and tested with over 70,000 businesses, and it works. So it's based on the 4 decisions: people, strategy, execution, and cash. And as scaling up coaches, our brand promise for you, if you use the program, it's you can 2x your cash flow, you can 3x your profitability. And in terms of valuation, if you're looking at exiting, or if you're looking at if you want to like IPO or get funding, this program also helps you to increase your valuation by 10x. And while you're doing all of this, the promise is you can actually have fun. You can enjoy the climb as you are building this up. So in this session, what we are going to be looking at is the people decision. And all our 4 decisions are rooted in a fundamental questions. Where people is concerned, the question we ask clients or prospects is, are all stakeholders happy and engaged? And would you rehire all of them? And if I'm in the room with the CEO, the founder, and I especially love this when I'm dealing with family businesses, the question I ask them is, would you enthusiastically rehire yourself? Now, these are 2 questions I really want you to reflect on, because this sets the context for what we are going to be discussing on this session. So a lot of the work we do is based on Jim Collins' work. So the whole idea when you're building a good company, a great company, when you're going from good to great, as you're scaling up your business, the most important thing is about getting the right people on the bus. So if you read, has anybody read Good to Great? Just curious by a show of hands. Has anybody heard of Jim Collins? All right, we got a few hands up there. Okay, so where Jim Collins, it's more about the who is more important than the what. So this is where getting the who's right is really important to your plan for scaling up. It's about getting the right people on the bus, on the right seats, and doing the right things. If you don't get this right, scaling up a business for many people, forget about scaling up a business. Running a business for a lot of people can look like this. How many of you relate to this? I'm just curious. I mean, in your own business and the stuff that you've done, how does this look? I can see Fami's got a smile on his face. Is there something you want to share about this, Fami? I'm sorry, I'm just curious about the expression you had on your face. So like anything you want to share why this image got a smile on your face?
I think it is a little bit true. As much as I want to run forward, and as much as I want to, sort of walk away from the business and let everybody runs it, at the same time, I'm still anchored to the ground and still have to be there. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. And how does that feel for you on a day-to-day basis?
I think day to day is I've already reached to a point that I feel it's fine. Yeah, but the burnout is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I was there in 2006 and 7 and 8. Maybe that's why I don't have the hair on my head right now, but trust me, I've been there. All right. So how would this look like? How would this look like for you instead? What if running a business could look like this? What would that do for you? What would that do for your business? What would that do for your team? So this is the invitation for a lot of business owners or a lot of founders, a lot of leaders who are leading their own teams. Like, to lead a team, to manage a business, to grow a business can actually look like this, but actually there is a solution. It can look like this, where you can see it's teamwork. Each person on the board, like even the ones who are sitting right up here, who seem to be doing nothing, have a critical function. They have a role. They have a function that's defined. They're there to maintain the counterbalance. They all seem to be going in the same direction, and they all seem to be having a lot of fun. This is our wish for all, like for all people using scaling up, and this is where we would like you to get to if you decide to use the scaling up methodology. So who are your right people? And this is key, because your A team is your right people. So your right people are people who do not need to be micromanaged. As Jim Collins said, right? If you are micromanaging somebody, you've probably made a hiring mistake. And then it's about those who fit your culture, those who align with your values, who stand by what's important to you, and they really fit your culture. And these people, not only do they not need to be micromanaged, but they regularly wow you. So you are surrounded by people who are smart, who take ownership, and who really contribute. You are not the only one leading it, they're leading it with you. So the two tools we have to work on this, the first one is the face tool. So I just want to make sure have you all been able to download it from the link that's been shared? Is there anybody who doesn't have it? Can you put it in the chat, please? So whoever doesn't have the tool, we can make sure you get the tool. So I'm going to take the silence as you have the tool. And please, if you don't have the tool, put it in the chat so we can make sure you get the link again. All right. So the first tool that we're going to look at is called the function accountability chart. The reason we call this the function accountability chart, because this is based on the different functions you have in the business. Now, we've used generic labels for the different functions because these are the functions that we see are common and critical to almost every business. The labels may be different. For some, it might be head of company. For some, it might be CEO. For some, it might be president. It doesn't matter. Please feel free to use the label that resonates with you, and that's okay. So this is where the invitation is. If you are not familiar with this, I'm sure you are familiar with the organization chart. So this is the top layer of the organization chart. This is your leadership team. So the idea with this is you first list out all the functions that you have in the business. This is your 7 to 10 or 12 functions that you have. And then next, if I was working with you, if you were a client, what we would do is we would go straight to column 4, and we would then define the result. What is the outcome you want from that function? So that is where we put results, we put outcomes. In the column, which is column 3, the one preceding the last column, out there we work with leading indicators. To give you an idea, if you're looking at sales, if sales has a target to generate maybe $3 million in sales, so that is the outcome you want from your VP of sales. That is what you would put in column 4. How do you get to $3 million in sales? This is where you would put leading indicators. So leading indicators are those activities, those indicators that you need to work on to create the results you want. For example, for the VP of sales to get $3 million in sales, how many meetings does the person need to have? How many proposals do they need to send out? What does your sales funnel look like? All of that would be the leading indicators, which is what you're going to put in this column. And then you put the name of the person accountable. So the idea with this is there is clear accountability. And like I said, I've tried out different coaching programs. And the reason this really landed with me as one of the best tools that I've seen out there, because this asks you to go to like really look at your financial numbers. You want to see how, that means take your financial statements. You want to take your financial statement, and next to each and every major line item, you want to ask yourself, who owns it? So this is where you're creating a high level of accountability. So to give you another example, when you're looking at marketing, say for example, when you're looking at marketing, to get $3 million in sales, for example, how many leads, sales qualified leads, does marketing have to generate? Based on that, when you look at your financial numbers, you will actually see how much is your marketing team costing you? What is that? How much are you spending on your Google ads or whatever else you use for marketing? You will know your total marketing spend. And based on that, you can actually work out what is your cost per lead. So this just takes the level of accountability to another level, wherein each person has clear KPIs, but you're also mapping out those KPIs to financial numbers. Any questions around this? I'm not sure. Is this landing? Because I don't see you all on screen. So I don't know how's it landing with you, but I'm just curious. Any questions, any clarifications you want me to clarify with this right now? Is there anything on the chat, like on the chat?
Manoj, I got one question, yeah? Because as I understand the sheet, or always have understood it, is on the right side, try to look at the profit and loss on the balance sheet. Some of the entries are not financial, right? New customer acquisition. Am I correct? Employee
Sorry.
MPS.
Yeah, sorry, I lost you a bit out there, Hugo. Sorry, can you repeat that again, please?
On column number 4, profit and loss and balance sheet items, correct?
Yes.
But some of the things that I see in the column are not financials. So you get MPS, you get customer satisfaction.
Yeah, actually, thanks for pointing that out. So I'll just clarify that. So in column 4, we put the lagging indicators. In column 3, we put the leading indicators. So when you put results and outcome, you can have numbers that are from your profit and loss and the balance sheet. For certain positions, you can have the non-P&L or the non-balance sheet items. What is more important is what is the outcome you want from that function? How do we KPI that? For example, if you got customer advocacy or your customer relationship, it could be about NPS score. And that's okay. You can you can also put those there. So thanks for asking that. And I also want to distinguish between leading indicators and lagging indicators. When you go to column 4, what we are looking for are lagging indicators. They could be financial, they could be non-financial. So when you're looking at an NPS score, that is an outcome of your customer service team on how they're taking the whole brand experience. How is it for your customer? So the whole brand experience on how you measure it, those would be the leading indicators. And then that would add up to the lagging indicators. So yes, Hugo, thanks for actually pointing that out. Your lagging can be both financial and non-financial. Are we clear on that, Hugo? Just want to see if you're okay with that.
Oh, clear, yeah. Because I always broke my brain around how do you link every function to something in your balance sheet or a profit and loss. So I'm happy to hear that you're flexible on that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So the idea with this is so this is an example, and I highly recommend to use this as a reference, but do not copy this because every business is going to be different. The how you do it here is what makes you different. And that's why I have the KPIs which are important to you. So first start with column number 4, then do column number 3, and then write down the name of the person accountable. So this is how we normally do it. And then after we do this, the idea is we're going to ask ourselves the 4 questions at the bottom. So what we're going to do, we're going to take 5 minutes for each of you to actually have a go at this exercise. I mean, to have a go at doing your phase 2. So what we're going to do right now is, does everybody have the phase 2? Once again, whoever doesn't have it, please put it on the chat so we can make sure that you have the tool. The idea here is for you to just work on column 1 and column 2 for this session. Write down the different functions you have. If these same functions work for you, that's fine. Write down the names of the people you have in your organization at the moment. You don't need to write down the full name. You can just put initials. And if you can do that, once you've done that, then I would invite you to answer the 4 questions at the bottom. So is it okay if we take 5 minutes to just do this? And then we can see what comes up. If you have any question, I'm happy to clarify this with you.
So we first do the functions, right? And then later on you do, so 5 minutes for the functions, and then the
And
next
the
step
names.
you will show later.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you just write down the functions and then you write down the names. And
Okay.
then I really want you to think about these questions at the bottom. Do you have more than one person in a seat? Do you have a person in more than one seat? Do you have empty seats? And the last question is a big one. Would you enthusiastically rehire them? So if we can spend 5 minutes on just doing this, and there's no right and wrong, it's the first draft. I would really invite you to just get started and see what comes up for you in this. And if there's any questions, please feel free to come off mute and just ask the question. And for those of you who have finished, I'm just curious if anybody would like to share what's coming up for them, any insights, anything, like any doubts. Just curious to know. How are we doing on this so far?
Hello, everyone. Have you feel that? Or you confused to pointing your team? Maybe anyone want to share? Okay, Manoj, for what feels from this? So maybe anyone from the same company come in? I think, yeah, probably they are coming from different companies, Manoj.
Yeah, all right, no problem at all. So I'm just curious, like, and Fahmi, if it's okay with you, I don't want to keep picking on you because I know you volunteered before, but because you mentioned it can be a bit hard for you. I'm just curious, how is this exercise coming along for you?
I think what I'm realizing is that a few people is actually taking up a couple of roles. So that's my observation. Yeah.
Okay. And you don't have to answer what you're not comfortable. I'm just going to do what a coach does. I'm going to ask you the questions. How about question number 4?
I think with regards, are you talking about the results portion, or are you talking about will I enthusiastically rehire?
Yeah, would you I mean, when you look at the sheet right now, I mean,
Yeah.
this is, you don't have to give me the answer or give me the names. That's, I get it's a sensitive thing. But when you put on your hand on your heart and be brutally honest with yourself, what is the answer you were getting to question number 4?
I think I think there should be other better candidates out there for certain roles. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. And I'm just curious, when you look at, if you look at the answers to question number 1, 2, 3, and 4, like maybe there's more than one person in a seat, or there's a person in more than one seat, or there
Mhm,
are empty seats. And if you're not sure about whether you would rehire them, when you
mhm.
look at the positions that are impacted by these questions, and you look at the challenges you have in the business, do you see a connection?
Yeah, actually true. There is some connection there.
Yeah. All
I
right.
think maybe just to elaborate a little bit more, I do see that sales actually is very, very important part. But sales is also been managed by an individual that has like 2 other roles. Partly because this person is very good. So ended up he have to like, take on multiple roles just, and then probably like end up with like lacking on some other areas from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for actually thanks for noticing that. So basically what I'm hearing is, even though this person is good, but because there are other roles, maybe the performance in like on the whole is being impacted. All right. Okay. So as the leadership, what do you, I mean, if you were to give some advice to this company, what advice would you give them? Just being an outsider, looking at what you see on the face tool, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think multiple levels. I keep thinking about myself and giving myself enough excuses to like you know what, maybe we are not in the right position to hire more, maybe the money can be spent somewhere else, kind of thing. But if I were to be a third party looking at it, I would just say like pick the best person for each role, and yeah, it's better that way versus having to squeeze somebody with multiple roles and they are not good at any one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just curious. I mean, I think there's an like underlying context here, and maybe that's what I see. But if it doesn't land with you, I'm okay with that too. Is, are you playing not to lose, or are you playing to win?
Wow. Honestly, I want to say I'm playing to win, but I think there is a large part of me often feels like I do not want to lose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And do you like watching a sports game where the team is playing not to lose, or you like them playing to win?
Yeah. Playing to win is much more exciting.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So just in the interest of where we are with this conversation, Fahmi, is it okay if I come back to you regarding this when we speak about the next two? Because
Yeah,
it'll
sure,
help
sure,
me like
sure,
wrap up this conversation. So I have your permission to come back to you?
sure. I'll share where I can.
All right, cool. Thanks. All right, nice. Okay. So for like, once again, thanks for being so like open, candid, and sharing this, because this is not an easy conversation. I get it. And you can feel the energy change when I'm sitting with clients and we have this conversation, and especially family owned businesses. Oh man, the energy changes in the room when we like actually work on this tool. Like, it is quite confronting. Okay. All right. So the next tool I do want to speak about is the talent assessment. So we have looked at the face tool. What the face tool does, it helps us look at it from the performance point of view. It like helps us define the roles, the functions, get more clarity, the expectations, who's in charge, who's not in charge. Now we have got that. How can we make it objective where we can actually see who are the right people, or who are the A players we have on the team? So for that, we have this very simple tool, which also has been shared with you. It's the talent assessment chart. Now, this is really a very powerful tool. And this is something with, I mean, both these tools, we work with our clients at least once a quarter. When we're looking at the face tool, we look at what their quarterly plan is, and then we actually use those KPIs to put numbers next to those. So it's, I mean, for example, if the like revenue target is $3 million for the year, so let's say it is $750,000 for the quarter. Each quarter, we will then sit down with the clients and actually put those numbers down. So for the quarter, the VP of sales has a target of $750,000. If that's his target, if his or her target, how do we know the person is actually performing with the metrics? So with this tool, with the talent assessment tool, it makes it very objective. On the vertical axis, we measure people on their values, on the company values. How aligned or not is the team on the company values? And then on the horizontal axis, we measure the team's productivity. So that's why having clear functions, clear KPIs is again important, because you want to be able to measure all of this. So if you have somebody who is a 9 on values, this person really aligns with the values of the business, and this person is also a top performer. This person is also performing a 9 on 10. So this person is your A player. If you want to scale up your business, it's very important that you start with your leadership team. And a business that's got 100% A players on the team is the one that's going to scale up. So this is important because you want to have people who are going to align with your values and also perform. These are people that you can depend on. Like I said, they don't need to be micromanaged. They fit your culture and they constantly wow you. So these are the people who are going to be there. People who are 8 or less would probably be potential A's, but not there yet. So these are the people that you really want to groom, you want to coach, you want to nurture them, and retain this quadrant at all costs, because this is what's going to take you to the next level. Then you also have people on your team who may be aligned with your values, but they may not be performing at the levels you want them to. A good example of this could be you've hired a fresh intern. This person is great. This person is great on values, but maybe a little bit green on skills and experience. So this person would probably be a B. And you as the leader, the opportunity here then is for you to have them shadow an A potential so they can really work on their skills. You also have A's who then become B's. And we see this happening a lot because someone who's good in sales, in most businesses, the automatic is to make them a sales manager. Being good at sales and managing people are two different skill sets. And this is where the person who's good at sales, at doing his or her own work, is an A, but now being a sales manager is now performing as a B. They align with the values, but they are not performing. Then you have the C's. The C's are the ones who do not align with your values, and they are not performing. Yes, I get sometimes being we are all human beings. With COVID, we've all gone through our ups and downs. Sometimes you'll see an A slip here, you'll see a B slip here, but if this is just a temporary thing, it's okay. Support them in that time. But if you generally have C's who are stuck here for a while, these are the ones that you really need to make a decision. And then we have the BCs. The BCs are the most interesting. They do not align with your values, but they are high in performance. Typical examples are people that I've got a client, he's got this AI data side, this data specialist who they're scared because if they replace the person, they may not find another one. So this person does not align with the values, isn't performing, but he's just being tolerated in the business. Another great example is sales, because they're good at sales, they're bringing in the sales, but they are toxic. They make it very difficult for the rest of the team. So these are what we call the BC players, or what we call the terrorists. So these are the ones that become very difficult in your business and are going to hurt you in the long run. So this is something that you want to be very careful about. And this is where it's very important, because this is where, as a leader, what are you tolerating? Whatever you are tolerating is how you are training your people to treat you. So this is an objective way. So I'll give you an example in a completed worksheet here. As you can see, you've got people here, you can see this person, TT is an A potential, just about at the border. Then you've got these who are all in the A potential. You've got this person who is like the terrorist. Then you've got this person who's a C, and these are again the Bs. So you need to make a decision as a leader. What are you going to do about them? So we're going to do a simple exercise right now. And this again, you don't need to share it if you don't want to. I'll just be curious if somebody besides Fahmi can also step in and just share what's coming up for you. So you'll have all got the tool. The exercise right now is based on what you know. If you are not the CEO, no problem. Just have a look at this tool and just plot your leadership team or plot your team. Where do they sit right now? And be very honest with yourself and put yourself out there as well. Can we spend a few minutes on doing this?
Yeah. To think. How many minutes, Manoj? 2 minutes?
2, 3, it doesn't matter. I think this can be done. Don't overthink it. And you don't have to share this with anyone. And you don't have to put names. You can just put initials. This is just a way for you to see. And even if you are a manager and you consider yourself to be an A player, just something to consider. If you have Bs on your team, then maybe you cannot be an A player till you don't have As on your team. It's just a place for you to look. And just curious, I mean, when we are looking at HR and when we're looking at the time where a business spends on like with the training, with the problem solving from our experience, most of the attention is given here. Most of the attention is given here, some attention is given here, but because these people are actually performing, they get the least attention. And this is where we are like inviting you. If you are giving this, if you are giving people in this quadrant all the attention that they need, you're doing very well. So these people do not need to be micromanaged, but they need to be nurtured, they need to be coached, they need to be supported. And this is where if you could actually flip the switch and spend more time with these people, you'll see your business scaling up. And like, can I ask you a question, Hugo? I'm sorry to put you on a spot, but is it okay if I ask you a question? Yeah.
Yeah, of
So I'm
course.
just curious, like Hugo, I know you have used the scaling up methodology in your business, and I'm just curious, how were things before and how are they now after you use the FACE tool and the talent assessment tool? I'm just curious.
So I've used this tool a couple of times, and I think it's always very confronting because you need to put people into this. So last year we actually did it with my leadership team in Equipa, and we put everybody into like the 3 leaders put all the people individually in this diagram, so separately, right? So I did it, Eddie did it, Ranko did it, and then we put everything together to see what happened. I don't think we made any major decisions at that time, but you know, I've been using this in my mind whenever I hire somebody, whenever I assess somebody, and I always try to get people mostly on top, right? A and B. And I really think that having people that match your core values is what it all comes down to. Because I'd rather have people that match in core values, so you have, let's say, also a team that you like to work with, rather than people that are always performing, being productive. So I'm skewed a little bit to the left side to have some B players, but also A players that become your rock stars. And I think you know, this diagram also made me aware over the years that whenever you have some rotten apple, somebody who is either a C or a BC, you need to be quick to get them out, because they give the wrong example, especially the ones that don't match on core values, show the wrong behavior. They'll take the other people on a trip that you don't want them to be on. So I think it shaped my thinking, and as an instrument for decision making on people, it helps a lot. It's still a tough thing, right? Because you put people's names in C or BC, it actually means you have to get them out of your company, but this is tough, especially in a small team.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing that. And when you say it like gets tough, I mean, it is tough. It's not easy. But how do you, I mean, how have you been dealing with that? I'm just curious.
My wife always gives me a mirror, and she says, if you mention a name 6 times in a short period, I'm gonna remind you again that you have to get the person out of your company.
Oh,
I think
nice.
that always helps. So you need a few of those tricks, right? That like people that may confront you with your behavior as a leader, because you like wherever you put people in these quadrants, you have to take a decision, and you need a couple of people around you that keep you sharp on that to make those decisions and really deal with it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And sorry, maybe can I put you on the spot as well?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm just curious. We had a dry like run on this yesterday. I'm just curious what came up for you in the exercise when we were doing this yesterday.
Yeah, so actually sometimes also it's reflect me on the seat, and sometimes, okay, where am I in this diagram? And yeah, it's helped me a lot also to giving the retrospective on myself. What should, you know, do I what should I do in this team and be part of the team, and how I can improve myself on that. So yeah, it's helped me a lot also to reflect on myself, and also to see also other team, and then how we can be more productive, or maybe align in our core value also, and
All
better
right.
in communication. Yes.
All right.
Can I
Thanks for maybe. Sorry.
can I add something to this?
Sure, please.
Because Mavi and me are having this discussion, right? So yesterday we had a performance, like whatever we call it, we had a discussion about her role, etc. Right? So this is actually a real case happening this week, and you know, Mavi was hired for BD, right? So more on the sales side, and she struggled. She had challenges to achieve the targets that we both agreed she had to make last year, but also now. But I think as an entrepreneur, a CEO, you also have an obligation to, because clearly for me, Mevi is on the upside for core values, right, all the way on top. And as a CEO, I think you have to see, can I shape the role so that it actually fits the person, instead of thinking, oh, I've got targets, she doesn't make them, and then get the person out. So I think it like, again, this diagram can help to structure that type of conversation, because she now, I like this meetup. Usually I don't even attend. I think it shows that in the new role that she took, she actually excels, but in the other one, she struggles, right? So it can also help to reshape the role around the person.
Yeah, and like actually that's a great example, because this again goes back to like something which I've seen come up quite a bit, where somebody who's good in sales gets promoted to managing the sales team. And this is where you have that honest conversation with them. It's like, hey, listen, you're not doing well in this. What's going on? How can I support you? And if that person feels more like energized, or is more suited to go back to sales, then it's a conversation where you have, wherein you actually you retain the person, and it's a win-win for all sides. So this is where this whole thing becomes very objective, and it opens a door for a collaborative conversation. All right. So Fahmi, I said I'll come back to you. Is it okay if I come back to you on this? And so then we can just wrap up where we started. Is that okay with
Yes,
you?
sure.
Okay. So I'm just curious, what are you getting from this tool and the conversation we've had so far?
I think for this like chart itself, I mean it's pretty new for me, and I think I struggle to really like put certain people in where they are supposed to be, because of the correlation to like core values. Yes, if I could just give example, I have this manager that who has recently just joined us. She has like good core values. Her productivity is also high, but more towards individual productivity, not so much as a manager level kind of productivity. So then I struggle to like, So is it considered like she is on the A side, or is it considered like her productivity as a manager is low? So that's the part where I struggle to really put put her in the correct box or somewhere like that.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, so I just got information that the chat is not allowed. So fine, like we'll come back to that. Okay, so basically what I mean, this again is an important thing because I have a client where they've hired somebody who is a superstar consultant, and one of the KPIs for this person was to build a team. So while this person is actually performing in her role and she's doing very well as a consultant, what has happened is it's been 18 months that she's in the role, but she hasn't built a team. And the thing is, she's always in a situation where she has so many things to do that she has no time to actually build the team. And what was actually missing in that was they did not KPI her on the phase two, where they did not put building the team as an outcome for that, like for that role. Now that they've actually done that, so they can actually measure her performance based on that. So it's kind of changed things for them, and she's in the process of building the team. Is that similar to your situation? And if this helps, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think now you mention it. I guess probably it is more towards too many KPIs instead of not enough KPI or not the right KPI for that particular person. That yeah, maybe that's the part where I have high expectation for her joining in. I think it's not even like 2-3 months yet, so there's always like, oh, you know what, you need to achieve this, and then I'm still not seeing it yet.
Yeah. So then again, this is where the conversation is about leading and lagging indicators. For example, I mean, I'm just making this up right now. I don't know about the teammate you are speaking about, but for example, when you're looking at $3 million in sales, it could be the sales cycle maybe 18 months, it could be 6 months, it could be in 3 months. Now, that may happen, that may not happen. That's why having the leading indicators is again very important. How many calls you made this week, how many proposals were sent out, how many meetings were sent out, how many names were like added on the CRM. Because if we keep doing this, what we can really work on are the leading indicators. The lagging is an outcome of the leading. What we can actually work on is the leading indicators. So maybe if you're not seeing results, is there an opportunity to actually separate the leading from the lagging?
Yeah, I think I do need to work on that part to make sure that there is clarity in among ourselves. There is already clarity, and then to the staff themselves, like they are clear on what is their role and what is the ideal outcome. Yeah, and it's fair for everyone to actually have those KPI and outcomes as well.
Yeah, and Fahmi, for you or for like anybody else on this call, if you actually want to fill up the sheet and you want to schedule a call with me to actually go through this one by one, please feel free to do that. I can share my Calendly link with maybe later, and please feel free to do that. No problem.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, what about any other questions? Anything else that's coming up for you in this? Okay, so what we have gone through in this session is we've actually looked at two of the most important tools that we have in the people section. And when we work with clients, as I mentioned, we are looking at this at least once every quarter. We are looking at your goals for the year. We are looking at your financial projections. We are then looking at the phase tool and we are actualizing the KPIs based on those numbers. And we set those as a 90-day target. And where this is concerned, once again, it's very important for you to then come up with a plan based on where your team is. You want to give them a score. You can decide the next step. You want to hire, fire, coach, whatever you want to do. That's up to you. But it's not about tolerating. It's about being a leader and making the decisions. You either commit to stay with the person and then make sure you support the person to move from B to A, or you make a decision as to what you want to do with your Cs and your BCs. You either coach them up or you coach them out, because there's a big difference between caring and caretaking. I get it. We all want to be nice. We want to be nice to people. This is not easy when you have to let people go, or forget about letting people go. We don't even want to have the hard conversations. And this is where you think you are caring, but actually it becomes caretaking. If you're being a caring leader, you'll actually be, I mean, this is when you can actually be more of service to them, to the rest of the team. Because if you tolerate the Cs and the BCs, you're going to lose the A players. It's a guarantee, because they're not going to stick around there. They want to be surrounded by other A performers. So this is where, as leaders, you really need to step up. Well, it's an invitation if you want to scale up. And then the biggest question here is, we ask this all the time. Are you playing not to lose, or are you playing to win? So this is the thing. We don't want to watch a game where people are playing not to lose, but we're happy to do that with our life. We spend our waking hours at work, but if we're coming playing not to lose, we're coming from fear. When we're coming from fear, I mean, if you're playing not to lose, your fear is winning, but you, your organization and your team is actually losing. And whenever you have a win-lose situation, in the end, it becomes a lose-lose situation. So this is really an invitation to you to step up. What game are you playing? Are you playing not to lose, or you're playing to win? And if you're playing to win, do you have the A team with you to take the business to the next level? So if you want to schedule a call, that's my Calendly link, but I'll be sharing it with Mayvi anyway. So if you want to schedule a call with me, please feel free to reach out to me. And I think Mayvi has some information about the masterclass. So I'm going to stop sharing this. We have a masterclass by Peter Van Roche, who is a mentor of mine, but I'll let Mayvi speak to that.
All right, thank you, Manoj, for the insightful information. So maybe before that, I also want to invite people here who already joining us in the almost 1 hour conversation. So if there are any questions, feel free to drop the chat or raise your hands, and then feel free to ask anything to Manoj that you, or maybe you want to share something also on this conversation on, or what you feel about the tools or something like that. Maybe anyone, or maybe I can pointing someone to share their thoughts. Okay, maybe I can randomly ask someone here. Okay, maybe Pak Steve. Hello, Pak Steve. Okay, maybe still everyone still shy probably. Okay, there's no questions, or maybe they just still wondering from and digesting the information that you gave, Manoj. Okay, so maybe, okay, there's one raised hand. Who is that? Oh, Pak Ariseno Kartono. Yes, Pak.
Yeah, I want to ask how do you accurately measure somebody's core value? Thank you.
Okay. Pak Arisano, maybe we want to also know you better. Where is you come from, and then what organization? Probably that's also help Manoj to understand. Thank you.
Sorry, what's the question?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
What is the organization, and where are you coming from, like in Jakarta or in the part of Indonesia, or maybe?
Yeah, I'm in Jakarta right now, and then I wish to have my own business in next 3 or 4 months. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay, Manoj. Kindly feel free to just answer. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to be clear, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Ariseno?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so the thing is, Ariseno, what we invite clients to do is we do an exercise with them to get clear on the values, and the values we insist have to be behavioral. So then we're always looking for stories on our people actually living the values. Then also, this is where in your weekly meetings, Do you have stories to share where people acted out the values? When you are praising people, you're coming from values. When you're having the hard conversation, you're coming from values. So the idea is to keep the values alive in the business, look for examples. And yes, if it's not, I mean, you are right, where something like this is concerned, it becomes a challenge to measure it objectively. But the more explicit you are in how these values can be acted out as a behavior, and keeping it alive in the conversations will help you make it more objective. I hope that helps. You have any clarifications or any more questions?
I think that means that we have to give them a time that ourselves, and we have to make a connection with them for several times, and then we can see that the core values objectively. That's what I.
Yeah, and it has to be objective. And it's like what Jim Collins says, right? These are what they call the soft skills. But yes, the soft skills are hard. And this is why where if you're starting a business 3 years from now, I mean, there's this book, I don't remember the name right now, but I can share the name with maybe later. It's the 3 things a CEO must do. It's about culture, people, and numbers. So you can see, to have, I mean, culture is the number one thing, and this is all about keeping the values alive in the business.
Okay. I would love to see that your book of recommendation.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking. Sorry.
Can I share something as well, Manoj, related to the
Oh,
question?
please. Yeah.
So in Equipa, what we've been doing in the last few years is we have our core values mapped out, right? So we've got 4 clear core values, and we have conversations about this regularly. We also try to give feedback dynamically to people on those core values, reflecting on the behavior. But we also do a 360 peer review on core values. So you could, for example, ask 10 people around you to give you feedback on how well you behave according to those core values. And that gives a sort of rational or objective approach to quantifying the behavior of people. And that could also help to get it more measurable and decide. It makes it easier to decide, is somebody an A or a B player.
All right, thanks. And I'm just curious, Hugo, do you also use a similar questioning technique during hiring?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we do it from beginning to end, right? So we look at when we hire, that's the core thing we look at. We try to find out, is the person's behavior matching with what we expect in that behavior, looking at our Equipa DNA, the 4 values, and then through onboarding we try to stimulate this, and it keeps going. Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Thank you, Pak Ariseno, for the good question. And then there is one question from Asari Iksan. Any specific improvement plan to develop our BC team member productive but not in high in core values, and vice versa? And how much effort do we need to spend on developing those potential individuals to become an A player? Maybe Manoj?
Well, yeah, this is the question we get a lot. So the thing is, it's much easier. Okay, it's not impossible. It takes, but it's much easier to work on a person's performance than to work on a person's values, because values are generally innate. Can a person change? Yes, we've seen that happen too, but it takes time, and it takes a lot of effort from the leadership team. And also from our experience, while that change is happening, there's a lot of damage that this person can also do. So this is up to you to make a judgment call out there. As coaches, we're just going to point out what we see, and then we leave it to you.
I see. Is that answering, Mas Iksan?
Yeah, thanks, Manoj, for the answers.
All right, cool. Sorry, you mind if I ask you more questions about this? I mean, what exactly is going on with this person that had you ask the question?
No, so it's not exactly a person that we're talking, but we're talking about if we notice some individuals that on the position at B or C, not exactly an A, and how do we need to develop the improvement plan? So that's a generic question. So
All right. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you, Mas Iksan. Okay, so any question or maybe anyone to want also share about what is the experience in your organization, or maybe because like we still have time to have. So I think this is also a great session to meet Manoj. Yeah, Manoj.
Hello, can I have one question?
Yes, Pak
So
Satya,
you can have
sure.
two.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Will you all stay safe and well? Okay, I'm Setio from Jakarta. I'm an independent or freelance oil and gas consultant. So I would like just to recall in my previous company. So actually, I have 6 people in my team, and I have a boss. So this is something that maybe the call it the table is different. The name you say a talent assessment card, but in some of the company we call it the some like risk assessment or potential assessment, something like that. So I had already identified on my 16, but when I confront with my boss, there is something like different point of view in me because I really go to detail into my team time to time, but my boss is only look from the high level. So something like block me to scale up my team where is in a potential, but my boss is have a different view. So how do you guys see this situation and how you deal with that? Because really for me, I don't want to lose these people. This is very good, but I can accept ego for the better promotion, for the better career, something like that. But in this case, what I see is he is trying to block to what my proposal. So how do you, Manos and maybe Hugo can give me some assistance on this matter? Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay, so just to get clear, what I heard from that, Setio, is that you had a difference of opinion with your boss.
Yeah.
You had an opinion of where your team was, and he saw it differently.
Yeah, exactly, something like that.
Yeah, so this again is a little bit tricky because my invitation to you is this will work very well if we make it more objective. And I get values to make those like objective takes some more work. But when performance is concerned, that should be black and white, where it's all about being clear on the KPIs. And if the performance is clear, so it's not about what I think or what you think, it's about making it more objective. So was the data objective or not?
I think the data is objective, everything is clear, KPI achieved or the target is achieved, but somehow I don't know what is the major on his concerns on this matter. But what I see is I'm trying to promote to what we are seeing.
Right. So, I mean, I'll just go back to this. I mean, if we go back to this out here, so for example, if the data is, I mean, if you have the score, if the person is actually, I mean, if the person has a target of $3 million and has reached 2.7, you know, the person has achieved 90% of the target. So the person should be a 9. And if there are enough stories where, based on what Hugo shared, based on peer feedback and getting a 360, if the person is scoring high on values, this should come out automatically. So that's what, I mean, that's how we use this rather than it being a personal opinion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if I look to this is more or less on what you have achieved on the business in terms of the business development or sales value, because you really core on the value. So what we are seeing in the manufacturing is quite different. So what we are seeing is both productivity, yes, but on the bar, high bar is not something like core value, but it is our KPI results. So maybe it's quite different point of view, but I'm trying to convert to what you have explained to what I have in mind. So how I can merge input in my feature.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, what's coming up for me is I can have another conversation with you later to go deeper into this. But then a place I would invite you to look is where I mean, if there is a difference of opinion, I would then look if there is room to make it more objective. That's what's coming up for me. But
Sure.
maybe it's a longer conversation. Happy to do a deeper dive with you on that, where we may need to look at specific cases there.
Again, thanks a lot, Manoj and
okay, no problem,
Equipa
Satyo.
team. Thank you.
Sure.
Bye.
Okay, thank you, Pak Setio, for the question. Hopefully, it's also bring more clarity and also maybe any idea from others to want to also joining the conversation. We still have time for that, maybe like 9 minutes before we go to closing, and then maybe also several people also already left. Yeah. Okay, maybe if there is no other questions, so I will share the screen. Okay, so my screen is already goes. So we, as Manoj previous information that on the 3rd of November, we will have the Scale Up Masterclass event. So you can download the QR code here. You can scan with your phone, or maybe we also can inform you in the emails if you're interested to go on our Scale Up Masterclass. So basically, this is the full session to work on the Scale Up framework. And then we have full day exercise with our coach from Netherlands, Peter van Os. So yeah, and there's also we have the series for the event. So this event is not only close in this session. So we still have another 4 events on the Scaling Up series. On the 15th, we will have a hybrid event. So it will be in Jakarta. And if you guys interested to join also on this crowd, you can come to our venue, and then we will also post it in our newsletter as you also be in our community. And then on the 3rd, we also have Dida Utami to share her journey as the startup founders. And then on the 6th October, we will have our masterclass speakers, Peter van Os to share. And then Hugo will also share his experience in the business. Okay, everyone. So we also will give you the free ebook of Scaling Up from Peter van Os that you can download here in the QR codes. And then, of course, for the last one, we will ask the feedback from you for this event. And then we want to hear your feedback to this event, and then how we can improve in the next session. Okay, maybe that's the closing for me. And Manoj, thank you again so much for your time and your energy to bring up this very exercise, and then very insightful and implement that someone can implement it also on day-to-day business. So yeah, and everyone, thank you so much for stay tuned until the end of the session, and see you in our next event. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot once again.
Maybe I can put little music on.